Hello friends, welcome back. I am Vivekanandan. So in today's video, let us discuss about 5 different industries and 5 different business models followed by these industries. The objective of this video is to give you an idea about all these various different business models adopted by different kind of industries and thereby inspire you also. And there are more business lessons which we will discuss after the examples at the end of the video. So let us straight away jump inside the video. So we are going to discuss this with a wide variety of examples. To start with, let us begin with Elon Musk as an example. So we know that this influential entrepreneur, Mr. Elon Musk, is running a wide variety of different companies to solve the problems of the world. So in this particular case, we will discuss about one of his company, which is called as the Boring Company. So what is the objective of Boring Company? Their vision is to reduce traffic and reduce the time taken between traveling to two different places. And how are they planning to achieve that? They are coming out with this particular transportation system considered to be the world's fastest rapid transportation system, namely the Loop and the Hyperloop. So the average speed of a loop would be around 900 kilometers, whereas the average speed of an airplane is just 850 kilometers. So you can imagine the kind of the power it is going to exert. So and the top speed it is going to be 1200 kilometers per hour. And the point over here is the moment we hear all these things that the time is going to get reduced, we are going to solve traffic, it sounds very much exciting. But what is the biggest challenge? The biggest challenge is its execution, its implementation. This is because this is going to take billions of dollars to bring it into fruition. So the moment it is going to cost more than the cost of building a bullet train. So the moment the people hear this, critics might say that why should we spend so much money in this particular kind of projects? Let us save that particular money. But the supporters of these kind of technology, their argument would be like this. For example, when the first car was built, it was much more costly than the bullock carts and the horse carts. But did we discard the idea altogether? We never did that. We persisted with this particular idea and still made it a success. So similarly, these kind of ideas are going to be revolutionary and we really have to implement it. But then what about the economics? What is your solution? How do we reduce costs? But then people sit deeper and think about unit economics and throw these kind of solutions, which would be like this. For example, when you're going to lay roadways or the expressway or a railway track, what happens is, let us assume that it is going to cost X amount of rupees. But if you are going to lay a tunnel for bringing out Loop and Hyperloop, it is going to cost 10x, which means 10 times that of these particular two projects. But then where is the benefit now? The benefit lies when it comes to its maintenance. Just assume after laying these roadways or these railway tracks, what happens is still the maintenance cost would be much higher because the government needs to still import oil, petrol, diesel and gas. But whereas in a loop and a Hyperloop, the maintenance becomes much more easier because it is just going to run on magnetic levitation. In other words, magnetic force or magnetic rails, particularly inside a tunnel where there is not going to be any air over there. The transportation system is going to run through vacuum. So again the point over here is instead of now the roadways and railways, now the maintenance cost, if it is going to cost 10x, whereas in a Hyperloop and Loop it is just going to cost X, which means 10 times the lesser amount. So this is the kind of business model which is being proposed and supported and then spoken in favor of these kind of revolutionary technologies. So this is the first example. The second example, which was a very big surprise for me recently, was this particular example, which is the defense came out with this recent policy, which is something called as the Defense Acquisition Policy 2020. So there, for the first time, the Indian defense, namely the Army, Navy and the Air Force, they are okay with this particular idea of leasing their utilities or leasing their armory. For example, what do you call the leasing? For example, if we want to go and take a rent, if we are going to take a place, if we are going to hire a home or an apartment or some kind of a place to stay and live, we have to pay monthly rentals. Instead, if we are going to lease that particular property, what we will do is we will take that property for 5 to 10 years together. We will pay the amount right away, use that particular property for that particular years, and we will leave off. So This is what you call it as leasing, and the defense now wants to use this particular leasing. And why do they want to do that? Because the biggest challenge they face is cost and time. For example, if they are going to, if the defense, if the Indian defense, say the Navy wants to build a warship, what they normally do will, they will ask the friendly countries to build a warship for us. For example, let's say France or Russia, for an example, builds us a warship for us. It is going to cost thousands of crores, no doubt about it. And is it going to be available immediately right away? No, they will ask us to wait for 5 years. And do you think that they are going to exactly deliver it on the 5th year? No, they might ask for some extended time, and by the time the warship comes to us, the technology will also become outdated. So how do we solve this particular problem? So now the defense, the Navy, what they want to do is, they right away, if that particular country has any particular model of warship, they will right away, they would like to lease that particular warship. They would be using for 5 years and then give it back to them for updation or upgradation, instead of asking them to build the kind of warship which they have, which right now they want to directly hire that particular warship. So the point I'm trying to say over here is, the problem appears to be a very complex one, but the solution applies to be very simple things. So this would be the second business model, and across India, this is one particular business model which is actually picking up a lot of pace, which is cold storage facilities. For example, let us assume that in your particular locality or in your town or city, there is a pharmaceutical, and this company, and this pharmaceutical company, let us assume that they have 10 stores, or at least, or another example would be, let us assume that there is a meat shop in your locality, but they have 10 different branches across the city. And both these industries, whether it is pharmaceuticals or this meat industry or a fruit industry or whatever industry, the biggest challenge is they need to store their products. And where do you store it? They need to have freezer boxes, but beyond a point, they cannot be constantly investing in freezer boxes. But so what is the solution? What is the alternative now? So today what they are planning to do is, if they have their products much more than the required quantity which they can store it in their stores, what they would today do is, they will take these particular products and put it in the cold storage facilities available in that particular locality, and whenever the need arises, they will go and take a few products and display it in their store. But how do they pay now? They just pay the rentals for storing that particular product in that particular cold storage facility. So now again, the problem appears to having a very, very simple solution. Maintaining a cold storage facility, that is going to be a very challenging business model. But then at least outsourcing or saving our products in a cold storage facility appears to be a very simple solution. Two more examples and I would just conclude it. The next example would be the one of the widely practiced models today, which is something called as a asset light business model. A lot of industries are using this asset light business model. To understand this, let me give you a very small example. The example would be, in COVID-19 times, the biggest industry which is suffering is the hospitality sector, particularly the hotels, big hotel chains having a wide number of properties in their roles. So now what they will do is, for example, the biggest challenge is, if suppose a hotel chain has 100 properties across India, the occupancy rate is only 50 properties. The remaining 50, there is no takers for those properties now. So now, but what happens is, still the hotel chain has to shell money to maintain these properties in the name of paying rents or paying the electricity bills or paying salaries and a lot of things. So now what this hotel chain will actually plan to do is, they would plan to sell the 50 of their properties which is not yielding any dividends. So now let us assume that these 50 properties are sold for around for an example, for a sum of rupees 400 crores. Out of this 400 crores, what they will do is, first they will clear off their debts, and the remaining money they will put it in their banks, and say, they say that they have 200 more crores in their hand. Now what they will do is, with this 200 crores, they will think about a prime property in a very prime location, and just what they will do is, they will approach them who is doing moderate business. Let us say that they will approach a hotel in a very prime locality which is doing a moderate business. They will totally hire that particular place, and they will say that we will pay you upfront or we will pay you at the month end. But what we will do is we will use our own brand name in your particular locality. We will also maintain that particular property, and we will give you a acceptable or a decent sum of money, which is going to be much more higher than what they were earning earlier. So this is going to be a profit. This is going to be a win-win situation for both the parties involved over here. This is what you call it as an asset light business model, which is being adopted by almost all the different industries and categories. So this is the fourth one, and one last example which I found very surprising and fascinating when I read for the first time was this particular business model followed by McDonald's. Because when we all think that McDonald's is in the burger business, but McDonald's claims that we are in the real estate business. And why do they say that? For example, McDonald's has stores all over the world because of its franchisee business model. So what about this franchisee business model? So for example, if we want to take a franchisee of any hotel or restaurant, the number one thing that people advise us is to have a location in a very prime locality, in a very important locality, is the first suggestion we receive. So now what McDonald's thought was, instead of asking our clients to go and look out for places, why not we provide those places? So what McDonald's actually did was they actually leased a lot of properties in prime locations, and they rented those properties to their franchisee people. So the franchisee, instead of paying their rent to some other people, what they are doing now is they are going to pay the same rental to the same franchisee outlet. In this case here it is going to be McDonald's now. So the point over here is so they earn in two ways. One is through their franchisee model. Next is the rent their franchisee is going to pay for them, and that is why they said that we are actually in the real estate business. So my point over here is, with all these business models, I just want to touch two different areas. One is we commonly see that entrepreneurs invest their time, energy, everything into building a product, but they don't put the same time and effort in coming out with a business model where they can reach their customers. But this is also something equally important in developing a business model. So that is the first one. And the second one I would like to say over here is all problems at the outset appears to be very complex, but the solutions are simple. A few business models which we discussed in this particular example, the solution they adopted was very, very simple. So that is the second message out over here. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for watching this video. Have a good day.